Hello and welcome to another episode of the astral weekzly video series. So for this series, I'm filming from my bathroom because that's where I get the best sound at the moment, and I'm just documenting my experience while learning how to astral project. I hadn't really seen many channels like this around, and I was initially kind of nervous to do it because astral projection feels like kind of a sort of like a woo-woo topic thing to talk about. So I had this idea as I was starting to learn, but I was like, I hadn't really had very many really intense astral projection experiences yet, so I was a little bit nervous about, or I didn't want to do it because I didn't want to make a video series about something that didn't really exist. So I'm still definitely in the learning stages, and since last week, I've just been continuing to go through this book called, I think it's The 90-Day Guide to Astral Projection by Robert Bruce. Robert Bruce is definitely the author, and so it goes through. It's a day-to-day guide for learning how to do it. So I definitely recommend it if you're interested in learning how to astral project. And I think, I don't have a good background in any religions, but I don't think there's anything that there's nothing that I've heard of in the major religions of the world that say like this is something that you shouldn't do. I definitely recommend it if you're, spiritual, or even if you're religious, or even consulting with, your spiritual advisor if you have a pastor or something like that, because I found this to be really meaningful so far for me in my spiritual growth, spiritual experience already, and I've just had sort of mild experiences, but they still have been profound enough that they've sort of given me the feeling of that what I'm perceiving around me every day isn't all that there is, and I definitely think faith can be enough to fill that. And I think day to day having faith or confidence in your higher power and whatever spiritual truth that is, or even if you're just like, I just like to live my life rationally, I think whatever floats your boat day to day is I think that'll only sort of be enhanced by this. And worst case scenario, I think learning to astral project would show you that maybe some things, some ways of thinking day to day aren't actually serving you and the people around you that much. But ultimately that's, I think that's a good thing to be able to be shown what you're doing that maybe could be done in a better way. Yeah. So what happened in this past week? Not too much happened in particular. I started getting sort of more diligent about writing in a dream journal. So that's part of this program, part of the book, part of the guide is writing down your dreams every day. So, and the more you write down your dreams, the more you tend to remember your dreams as well. So that's a cool experience in and of on its own, and you can start that by just, even if you don't have dreams, when you wake up in the morning, if you just write, didn't have any dreams that I can remember last night. Sometimes even then, a dream will pop in your head or an image, and that's all you really need to do is just write down, pretty much as soon as you get up, any images or thoughts or feelings that you had from a dream. And when you start writing those down, it can lead to more thoughts, or you sort of remember more of your dreams in that moment. And then oftentimes what happens is the next day you tend to remember even more of your dreams. And so sort of the more you do it, the more consistent you get with that, then the more and more you can remember your dreams. And I don't remember what the motivation actually was for remembering your dreams, but when you're the more you sort of remember your dreams, I think the more likely it is you'll remember dreams in which you become lucid. And when you're learning to astral project, you're also learning how to kind of lucid dream in some ways as well. So when you remember your dreams and you remember becoming lucid in a dream and then sort of coming in control in that space, that can be pretty profound and can be something that you can learn from as well. And that was sort of one of the main experiences in my life that sort of in the past half year or so made me more interested in learning about astral projection and this sort of thing, because in this dream that I had, I was walking down the street and there were like people dying in the street, there were rats roaming around gnawing on things, and I had this thought in the dream. I was like, man, it was something like, it started as, why can't God fix this? Or it was something like, why can't the creator, fix all of this? And I think was ultimately the thought that I had was like, I wonder what it would be like to be God or to be the creator. And then I just, all of a sudden, like, the scene shifted and I felt sort of all of my limbs and extremities just sort of expand outwards, and just sort of felt as though I was like strung out all over the place, and expanded all over the place, and I felt connected to everything, but I also felt sort of powerless as well. But I felt this sort of sense of oneness and interconnectedness in this dream, and I don't know if that's the experience of being God or anything like that, but it was the experience, and the feeling was really outside anything that I had experienced in any dreams before or in life before. So, maybe you've had that experience. And also what's interesting is, or for me, is as I've started to go and going through this program, I'm sure there are other ways of learning how to do astral projection, is that memories start to come back that you've forgotten about, or maybe you suppressed or something like that from when you were younger, and other dreams, other experiences that you have may start to come back that that sort of, you start to remember these things and you're like, wow, okay, my life has maybe been more spiritual than I've given it credit for, because I think, at least for me, the feeling is like that it ebbs and flows, sort of spirituality in my life, and when it's at a low point, it can feel like almost that there wasn't any spirituality in my life to begin with. But then when it starts to rise up, then you start to see these past experiences in your own life where you're like, wow, that was a pretty profound experience that I didn't really remember, or I didn't keep in mind so much. And particularly around astral projection, there are different symptoms that you get when you're leaving your body. And when you remember having had those experiences a lot before, like the feeling when you're going to sleep and you're sort of in a dream state. This is what happens to me, is I'll be in kind of a dream state. I'll take a step off of a stair and then I'll just feel like I'm falling. And that feeling is one of the main feelings that comes when you go into astral projection. And that was a feeling that I had a lot growing up, and I think is pretty common in the general consciousness. I think probably most people have had that experience where you're about to fall asleep and you have that feeling of falling. And that's a symptom, or a symptom sounds kind of medical, but it's like it's an indication that you're close to being able to astral project, to leave your body, or for a copy to leave your body. And that's a key point in this book, and isn't something that I can verify as of yet. But in the book, they're saying that astral projection is very safe, that the only thing that's leaving your body is a copy of your of yourself. So you're safe. There's no worry about being possessed or anything like that. And I think that is a fear that could come about. Things in dream state and externally can definitely be sort of freaky. But that's at least what they're saying in this book. I've experienced enough from this book to trust their word for it, but definitely, if that's something you're worried about, then I think that's something to be cautious of, or to double check on, because I'm not speaking from personal experience that astral projection is just a copy of yourself. I'm sort of just saying what this book has said, which I'm taking their word for it. And what's just popped into mind is sort of part of my background, and I think part of why I'm pretty open to doing these different to doing this and not feeling that scared about getting possessed or something like that is that I don't know if it's clinical depression or what it is, but I definitely experienced lots of like lows and sort of like numbness in my life. And I don't think I'm a regular or that it's any worse than anybody else, but I've definitely been at the point where, not that I'm like planning suicide or anything like that, but definitely a feeling of like, you know, feeling pretty bored with life, I guess, which is kind of like, so I feel like bored with life and then sort of like don't really care about death as much because like, well, life is feeling kind of boring, so I'm like not particularly scared about death. So that sort of is I think how I'm able, or how I go into these spaces. I don't think I'm particularly like, I don't think it takes bravery, or well, I mean, maybe it takes bravery, but I think for me, it's like, I come from the background of being like, sounds interesting, and might as well give it a go. But I'm also, you know, I don't have a family or anything like that right now, so imagine if I had, I mean, I have family, but I don't have like kids or people that are reliant on me, I guess. So I'm sort of taking advantage of this point in my life where people aren't particularly reliant upon me for their survival to kind of experiment with some of these things that might be that you might be a little bit weary of if you were, you know, if you have kids that you have to feed. I get it, you're not gonna wanna, you know, try doing this thing if you think like, oh well, maybe I'm gonna get possessed or something like that. And why I'm wanting to learn how to astral project is to sort of add to my ways to help heal people, help people out, and things like that. So I do Reiki and stuff like that, but I feel like as a male, I think people aren't as, you know, I haven't done a good job of marketing myself or anything like that, but I can definitely feel like, oh, I'm a male, and Reiki is you're putting your hands on people basically to help from a spiritual perspective. You're kind of helping to infuse them with energy or bring energy into their bodies, and you can even think of it, and from a scientific or rational perspective, you can just imagine that physical touch. So you place your hands at a few different points on people's body and just sort of leave your hands there. So it's like getting a full body hug. I don't particularly know. I know there's been some research on the effects of Reiki, but you can imagine, you know, if somebody's caring and a caring person is, you know, resting their hands on places of your body that aren't, you know, not intimate areas of your, you know, where you're uncomfortable with, but just like head, shoulders, chest, you know, stomach area. You can imagine that sort of having that sort of touch can would help people out. So I know how to do that, and so I enjoy doing that, but I think or at least I often feel this is probably more of a me thing, but I don't want to like make people freaked out because I'm a guy and I don't want people to feel uncomfortable. So I feel like through astral projection, you can leave your body and you can help people in in aspects of their lives, and it doesn't involve that physical touch and being in people's personal space, which I think is maybe, which feels like I would be a little bit, would be more accepted help from people as a male than the sort of physical touch. But you can also do distance Reiki, and if you're interested in any Reiki, you can definitely message me. I think there's a link to my Instagram, so you can message me through Instagram, and I can do distance Reiki, and I can also do in-person Reiki, but if we live in the same area. But anyways, so that's my motivation for why I want to do astral projection, or why I want to learn how to do it, is just to sort of add to the ways to be able to help people out. Yeah. And this past week, I haven't had any particularly profound experiences, but but I'm sort of about halfway through this 90-day book, so I'm about 40-something days into it. So now it's starting to explicitly practice how to leave your body. The sort of lead up to this has been stimulating sort of your learning to relax your muscles, relax your mind, and that sort of thing, to get into a sort of trance state. And so that's been cool. And the first part of this is just learning how to get into a trance state. And I've been doing meditation for a long while, but this trance states feel kind of different in terms of like, it just feels like I'm in this warm puddle almost. It's like I'm still there, I'm still conscious, I can definitely leave it as quickly as I want to, but the body feels really like relaxed, my mind feels really relaxed. It just feels like I'm in like a jacuzzi without the bubbles on. It's really nice. So the point in the astral projection program that I'm in is going from that state of being really relaxed to then your sort of like energy double, or trying to think of a word for it that wouldn't turn people off if they're coming from like a science perspective. Because I don't know if there's been a lot of research on astral projection done, so I think just the word astral projection can kind of turn people off, but you know, that's kind of what we got. That's what we got at the moment. So yeah, so is anything particularly interesting happen? I had some pretty wild dreams this week. Dreams definitely feel more vivid. I had dreams this week where I was like trying to cast spells and things like that, but they weren't lucid dreams. And so I thought I was in the real world, and I wasn't actually. I don't think I was really doing much, but those were kind of interesting dreams. And yeah, today I was doing sort of, you know, relax your body and then try to exit your body. And there were a few points where I was feeling like almost this sort of rippling feeling inside my body. And I was pretty tensed up all over. So I'm gonna try and it felt like things I heard, I felt a lot of pressure in my chest, a lot of pressure in my head, and that's something that's supposed to be sort of an indication that you're about to astral project. But you know, if if I end up getting injured and not able to continue to make videos, then this will be a good guide for what not to do if you're interested in learning how to astral project. So definitely some of the indicate there doesn't have to be, from what I understand, you can leave your body and there are no feelings at all, but sometimes there are like intense vibrations and things like that. So another thing to keep in mind, I think if you're wanting to try it, is just, it's important to be in good physical, good shape, like taking care of yourself right, all that sort of stuff can only help. But yeah, I don't think it was just a lot of like almost getting to the point where I felt like I was about to have an experience of leaving my body. If anything, the main thing that I've been having this week has been, and I had this today actually, was like, I felt this almost like I had this heavy backpack on, and this was sort of when I was in a trance state, and it was a lot of doubt about the reality of astral projection being real, and lots of doubt around life things as well. And so realizing that I have a lot of doubt, and that doubt definitely plays a big role in my life, that just feeling that was pretty profound this week, because I think the key part for me moving forward with this, and moving forward in my life as well, is just acknowledging that doubt that I have, and that, doubt is definitely a healthy thing to have and is important to have. But when I think what I'm having now is sort of like a dialogue with doubt inside my head, and I think it sort of is like lives in there a little bit more than maybe what is actually helpful, and if you're doubting everything, then you're not necessarily going to be able to really identify what's important to doubt. So I think this is sort of externally related to astral projection and related to life in general, is, acknowledging that in my mind, I believe that the astral projection stuff is something that can happen. And I've definitely had experiences that tell me, like, yeah, there's, a wider world to comprehend than I understand currently. But so I believe that in my mind, but my body doesn't necessarily feel that same belief. So I'm sort of incorporating those two things together right now. And the way that I do that is just by acknowledging that doubt, and not questioning it, and not trying to like get to the bottom of the doubt, but just really feeling it. And when I really feel that doubt, that really, I can feel it start to dissolve, and then I can feel feeling of confidence come in. And this is like, those feelings of doubt are triggered by astral projection, because that's the main thing, because that's sort of the main doubt thing that's coming up right now. But it feels like it's a much more, it feels like it's sort of a universal doubt in myself, in terms of it's like an emotion that I'm resolving inside of me. It feels like a big knot of doubt. And yeah, so I'm excited to see sort of what comes from acknowledging that more, and that whole sort of thing through this week, and hopefully I have some more exciting experiences to share next week. Yeah, this is a great motivation for wanting to, eat right, sleep right, all that sort of thing, so that I can be in good shape. Oh, actually, an interesting thing that happened this week was I was reading about sleep positions, and I've always tried to sleep on my back. I think for some reason I thought it was best to sleep on my back, but I was reading about, or I saw it was a YouTube video about how it's better to sleep on your side than on your back. And I've also been, trying to cut down the amount of caffeine that I'm having. But man, trying to because I've been probably for 20 years. What? I'm 27. Yeah, probably. No, not 20 years. Probably, but for a long time I've been, actively trying to sleep on my back, because for whatever reason I thought that was the best way to sleep or something. But since I've started sleeping on my side, and most people that I know actually already sleep on their side, so this might not be very interesting information. But my sleep has been way, way better. It's been, usually I wake up during the night when I'm sleeping on my back, but I've been out sleeping the whole night, wake up feeling pretty actually rested. Usually when I wake up I feel like, groggy, and like I didn't really get that much rest. But since I've been sleeping on my side, I still feel groggy, but I feel like I rested. So, all of these things, I think it just makes it easier to do astral projection. You just become be a better person, so all these things sort of relate. But I hope you all are having a good week. If you have any thoughts or things you'd like to share, would love to hear them in the comments below. If you're interested in Reiki, distance or in-person Reiki, please feel free to message me. I really like to do that. And so I like to do that by donation as well. So I definitely just enjoy doing it. And if you can offer anything for the time, that is very appreciated. But I get a lot out of being able to do Reiki as well. So maybe I'll expand on or talk about Reiki a little bit more in the next video, along with some good updates. So best wishes to you all, and catch you next time. Bye.